Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TBloom Talk Show. It's week 8 of the NFL football season. You know what time it is. I'm going to give you my stats, scores, predictions, news, whatever. I'm here. It's a little bit of a later podcast today. I had to work earlier this morning, but I'm here. I made it, and we got some games to get to, and I'm so happy to see you guys right now. I've just had the most longest day. I got up at 6 a.m., didn't want to get out of a bed at all. Never do. I mean, on a Friday, who does? But I made it. I'm here. I have my notes. I swear I spent more time looking up stats, comparing, contrasting teams and certain stuff at work than I did actually doing my work. Don't tell my boss that, though. Seriously, keep that shit under wraps. Anyway, I'm fucking happy to see you guys. Welcome to Friday. We got a lot to go over, so let's get started. Here we go. All right, so the first game, actually, let's talk about what happened last night. The Baltimore Ravens come back and defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which brings the Buccaneers to a 4-game losing streak, which is the first time in Tom Brady's career since, I think, 2006, they were saying last night. So we're in a little bit of uncharted territory here. Not only is Brady's outside the football field life going to shambles, but his inside the hashes football life is going to shambles as well. Is this the end of Brady? I presume this question, is this possibly the end of Tom Brady? Did it take a goddamn divorce to make sure that the GOAT doesn't get a 7th Super Bowl? Or a fucking 8th Super Bowl? Did it take a divorce? I mean, is that what it fucking took for the greatest player ever to finally not be good at football? I mean, it just goes to show the power of a goddamn divorce. Pure speculation, but pretty much what happened last night is the Baltimore Ravens did what I think everyone thought they're going to do. They eventually outlasted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I didn't see the Bucs winning this game. Just not many up factors for the Tampa Bay Bucs lately, and the Ravens had to get this one. They're a much younger team. Ravens got the job done. Bucs fall to a 4-game losing streak. But let's start it off with the Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Denver Broncos offense is nothing much to talk about. Russ, he's got this hammy injury. He's got a shoulder injury. He's saying, let's ride, even though he doesn't even have a car near him or a bike even. It's a messy situation for the offense. However, on the Jacksonville Jaguars offense, they are the number 9 rushing team in the league, averaging 137.4 yards per game. In the last 3 games, they are the number 5 rushing team in the league with 173.4 yards per game. A lot of that thanks to their running back Travis Etienne, who's having a great, I do believe, his sophomore season. Having a good sophomore season, putting in some work. Jaguars can run the ball a little bit. They're also the least sacked team in the league. Anytime you're a young QB like Trevor Lawrence and you can be the least sacked person in the league, whether it is due to him getting the ball out fast or it's due to just great blocking. Anytime you have your quarterback taking less than 2 sacks per game, it's good. It's good for the development of the quarterback, and it's good just to keep the guy healthy. I mean, it's just facts. So, yeah, they're the number 1 team in the league in terms of not giving up sacks with just 1.4 per game. And over the last 3, they're number 5 with just 1.3 per game. Now, on the other side of the ball for the Denver Broncos, a.k.a. the whole Denver Broncos, is their defense, because their offense is fucking, we already went over them. They're trash. They're not there. They're done. They're gone, right? Fucking bye-bye Broncos offense. Broncos defense, number 2 in passing yards per game with just 173.1. Over the past 3, they are number 7 with just 176.3. Really consistent defense. It seems like every year the Denver Broncos put out a well uniformed group on defense, whether it's their linebackers. A lot of times it's their pass coverage, and it shows up here in this year as they're the number 2 passing defensive team in the league. They also, they also average the number 4 most sacks per game with 3.1, and over the past 3 games they've averaged 3.7, which ranks number 3. So it's going to be a clash of a team that can get to the quarterback in the Denver Broncos and a team that doesn't give up very many sacks in the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see what happens when they collide. I'm basing my instinct off this one. We know Denver's not doing very much. This game's going to be in London. This is the biggest factor. And you should fucking call them the goddamn London Jaguars by now because they've played 8 games. They're 4-4. There's no way that the Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to get a winning record in London this weekend. I mean, they're going to move to 5-4. They're officially going to be London's fucking team. I mean, what other team has played 8 single games in London? If you're a London fan, you got to be a Jaguar fan by now. I don't know how you're not if you are. Both these teams on a 4-game losing streak, though. I think Denver moves to a 5th-game losing streak. I think Jacksonville cleans it up here, gets the job done in London. Next game, which is a very near and dear subject to my heart, the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Battle of Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. What can you say? You don't get to see it very often. Last time we played, I believe, was the year Carson Wentz went to the Super Bowl, and then Nick Foles finished it off, and the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and we got smacked. New year, new us. We got Kenny Pickett, motherfucker. Starting off with the Philadelphia Eagles, number 6 rushing yards per game with 156. Over the past 3, they're number 7 with 156 as well. So, Philadelphia can run the fucking shit out of the football. On the other side, though, Philadelphia's defense, they are also the 5th passing defense in the league so far, just giving up 188 yards per game over the last 3, 189.3, which is 8. Still consistent, very hard, very tough to throw the ball on this team. They have 0 injuries coming into this game, very clean. However, although they're 6-0 coming in with all this momentum, all this hype, all this good running game stuff, don't count Pittsburgh Steelers out. The only reason why I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers is because I've said that if Philly beat the Dallas Cowboys, I'd vote for them in their next game. I'd go for them. And that's what I'm doing. So I have to stick to my word. I'm going Philadelphia in this game, but be aware that Pittsburgh was the number 23 passing team in the league with just 210.7 passing yards per game. Over the past 3, they moved to the number 10 passing team in the league with 210.7 that's a wrong stat. They moved to the number 10 passing offense in the league, and then at any away game, they are the 8th best away team passing the ball, throwing the ball for 238.2 yards per game away. Don't count out the fucking Kenny Pickett-led Steelers. If there's a time to come back, it's now. TJ Watt said if he's medically cleared, he's coming back. Bad news for Jalen Hurts if he sees TJ Watt coming at him, unblocked, unscathed, pectoral strain and all, doesn't matter. Bad news for Philly fans if he plays, and I can see us beating Philly. I really fucking can. Battle of Pennsylvania, we'll see. Next game, starting off with the New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. The New York Jets have lost 12 straight games to the New England Patriots. It's sad. It's raw. They're going to use that emotion out there this week. They're going to use that emotion. New York Jets 5-2. New York Patriots 3-4. Don't think that the Jets are letting that overall record get to them. They know what's at stake. They know Bill Belichick don't fuck around when it's Jet week. They know Bill Belichick don't fuck around at all when it's Jet week. Problem for Bill Belichick is he's got a questionable fucking QB room. I mean, who's the fucking QB? Is it fucking Zappy or is it fucking the degenerate Mac Jones over there? The only thing more questionable than the New England Patriots QB room is their goddamn injury report. Nelson Ogholler, questionable. Isaiah Quinn, questionable. Josh Uche, questionable. Jonathan Jones, questionable. Kyle Duggar, questionable. David Andrews, out. Well, fucking thanks, Bill. Gives us a lot to work with. But, I mean, and then on the other side of the ball, only Corey Davis, the receiver for the Jets, is out, and Dwayne Brown is questionable. And that's it. So, in terms of the momentum behind each team, the Jets have the momentum. In terms of the fucking passion and will and want and absolute, we got to get revenge on this team that we're playing, the Jets have that on their side too. And in terms of fucking the stats, I mean, the New York Jets, they're the number 3 team in terms of rushing touchdowns per game with 1.3 per game. Over the past 3 games, they moved to number 1, averaging 2.7 rushing touchdowns per game. That's damn near 3 rushing touchdowns per game. When you look at the Patriots defense, sure, they're the number 6 team in terms of sacks per game. They get 3 a game. And over the past 3, they moved to number 4 with 3.3 per game. That's okay, though. The Jets don't even rely. I can see it going 2 ways. Zach Wilson's going to start seeing ghosts, and it's going to be Sam Darnold 2.0. Or Zach Wilson's not going to throw the ball very much. They're going to run it down the goddamn New England's throat. And although, the New England Patriots are the number 7 team in terms of rushing touchdowns per game, they only give up 0.6. That's less than 1. And over the last 3 games, they only give up 0.7, number 9. It's not going to matter. I just think New England's just so in shambles right now. There's a lot to go through. I think the Jets are more of a complete team. I mean, when's the last time you heard that? When's the last time you heard that ever? That might be the last time you ever hear that. That's what I'm going with, though. I'm going with the New York Jets. At home, they're going to take it. Next game, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the New Orleans Saints. Let's just break down some stats for you. Las Vegas, the number 3 rushing yards per game team in the league, 128.5. The third best rushing touchdown team in the league with 2 per game. But they're going against the number 22, the 22nd rushing yards per game defense in the New Orleans Saints. So the Saints give up a lot of rushing yards. In the last 3 games, the Saints have ranked 23 in rushing touchdowns per game, giving up 1.3. So you could see some why am I drawing on his name? You could see some rushing touchdowns for the Vegas Raiders this week. Count on it if you see it. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, number 28. Great running back. Just don't be surprised if the Vegas Raiders start running the ball down the New Orleans Saints' throat. On the Saints side of the ball, they are the 8th best passing team in the league, 256.3 yards per game. The number 8 best rushing team in the league with 142 yards per game. Over the last 3, they moved to the number 2 in rushing yards per game at 182.7. The point is they can fucking run the ball. They can run the ball. But the Vegas Raiders can stop the run. Vegas Raiders, the 8th best rushing defense in the league with just 104 yards per game. Over the last 3, the 6th best rushing defense in the league with 98.7. Here's the question mark, though. When they are on the road, they are just the 23rd ranked rushing defense in the league, giving up 265.3 yards per game. Will that trend continue? New Orleans Saints in the dome, Alvin Kamara ready to go. Some questions on the other side on the injury report for the New Orleans Saints. Michael Thomas is out. Jarvis Landry's out. Adam Trotman's questionable. Left guard Andrew Pete questionable. D tackle David Onagamata questionable. Cornerback Paulson Adobo questionable. Marshawn Lattimore questionable. A lot of questions on that side of the ball. And same with the Vegas Raiders. Devontae Adams questionable. Matt Collins questionable. Darren Waller questionable. There's 3 receivers right there. Derek Carr is not going to have to be able to throw to. Look for the Vegas Raiders to run the ball and run it down their throat. I'm going to go with the Vegas Raiders here in this one. I just think they're a little bit more of a consistent team. Not sure what we're going to see out of Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston or whoever's starting. I think it's Jameis. Not sure who we're going to see. Doesn't matter. We're going to roll with the Vegas Raiders. And that's just how it's going to be. That game's at 10 a.m. this weekend. Next game. And before I move on to this next portion, let me take a sip. And this isn't coffee. This isn't piss. This is a cider. Happy Friday, my guys. All right, next game. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings. Arizona, number 2 in terms of not turning the ball over on offense. They don't give up more than 0.7 of a turnover per game. On defense, their last 3, they have been the 3rd best rushing defense in the league, just giving up 87.3 yards. So they can stop the ball on the run, and they don't turn the ball over. But in the air on defense, they are the 28th worst passing defense team in the league, giving up 272 yards. In the last 3, they moved to 26, giving up 268.3. So they're struggling to contain the air. They can't play defense in the pass. They're out. Byron Murphy's questionable, their corner. Their offense, they're mediocre at best with everything. They got James Conner out. They got a left tackle, DJ Humphries, who's questionable. They got left guard Max Garcia, who's out. Center Rodney Hudson's out. A lot of questions on that line. They got their starting running back done. This is a team who likes to get the ground game going. They do have DeAndre Hopkins still in there, but Marquise Brown, he came up with that injury that's going to keep him out for a while, a couple weeks back. They got they're going to have a lot of pieces step up, especially if DJ Humphries, the left tackle, doesn't play. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to, have Kyler Murray scrambling all the time everywhere he goes. It's going to be tough for him to get the ball off. You got half of your fucking line missing. Shit. Minnesota Vikings, what do they do well? Well, they pass the ball pretty decent, number 10 in the league in terms of passing yards per game, 242. And they simply just don't turn the ball over. Anytime you can put up some points and not turn the ball over while doing it, hey, you're rocking and rolling, baby. You're rocking and rolling to a 5-1 record. In terms of defense, excuse me, I messed up some defense stuff, but it pretty much goes the same way. Minnesota Vikings, they can stop the run, but they can't play the pass. And the Arizona Cardinals, they can stop the run, but they can't play the pass. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings because they can at least pass the ball, and I trust their offense a little bit more than the Arizona-led Cardinals. So we're going to roll with the Minnesota Vikings. And on their side of the ball, all they have is a DN, Jonathan Bullard, who's questionable. So they're pretty healthy, clean. I think this should be a clean game. Minnesota Vikings should improve to 6-1. Arizona to 3-5. Next game, the Miami Dolphins versus the Detroit Lions. There's a lot of skepticism about this game just being a hellstorm of a game in terms of scoring. Both of these offenses just can put up points. Simple as that. I know last week Miami only put up 16, but you're facing the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you expect? Am I right? Miami Dolphins, the third best passing team in the league with 281.6 yards. The Detroit Lions, the number 9 best passing team in the league with 249.5 per game. They also are the number 7 best rushing team in the league with 145.7. So Detroit can kind of do it both. The only thing that questions is Miami is really good at defending the run. They're number 7 in terms of yards per game with 103.3. So let's look at these injuries. D-end Emmanuel Ogbah is questionable for the Miami Dolphins, and cornerback Xavier Howard is questionable for the Dolphins. Let's flip that over to the Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, questionable, receiver. Left guard Jonah Jackson, questionable. On defense, Charles Harris, out, D-end. And free safety Deshaun Elliott, also listed as out. I'm going to have to roll with Miami here. I don't really trust Detroit. I don't think you can. At the beginning of the season, it was kind of fun because it almost seemed like once they got that breakthrough win that they were going to keep piling it on. They haven't. They rattled off a bunch of losses. They're sitting at 1-5. Miami, they scaved away from the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. But I think they get back on track here. They're in a dome. They got Tyreek Hill, Waddle out there ready to go, ready to rumble on the turf field. I think this is going to be a high-scoring match, but I think Miami's going to escape with the win. And, the spread is minus 3.5. I think they do it by at least a touchdown. We're going to roll with Miami. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know what you're thinking. TBloom, let's fucking just save what you're going to say. Don't even say it. Let's get this show on the road. Pick the Dallas Cowboys and let's move on. And I know why you'd say that. Because the Dallas Cowboys, well, first of all, they don't give up sacks. They're the 5th best team at protecting their quarterback with just 1.6 sacks per game. And their defense is really the star of the show. They're the 4th best passing defense in the league, just giving up 185.1. And they also get to the quarterback the most in the league. They're the best team at getting to the quarterback with 4.1 sacks per game. And you couple that with the last 3 games, they've been getting to 4.7 quarterbacks per game. You ever got to a 0.7 quarterback? It ain't fucking easy, but Dallas is doing it. And that's why you would say, hey, Dallas, just pick them. But then you think that, hey, this is the Chicago Bears. This is the fucking Chicago Bears. They don't pass the ball. So you can stick your number 1, number 4 passing defense in the league right up your anus because it don't can matter. And sure, they get sacked most in the league. But that don't matter either because you know why? Because they're the number 1 rushing team in the league. And guess what? Over the last 3 games, they've been the number 1 rushing team in the league with 186 yards per fucking game. You fucking tell me, huh? You tell me. They don't need to pass the ball. Never did. They didn't need to when they walked into New England and beat Bill Belichick. And they're not going to need him when they waltz into the fucking Wally World and they play the Dallas Cowboys and who's a what's a land. That's why we're rolling with the Chicago Bears this week. They're going to run the shit out of the ball, shove it right down Dallas Cowboys. They're going to shove it right down their mouth, right down the throat. They're going to make it happen. And I'll tell you what, you can use that 4th best passing yards per passing defense per game the Dallas Cowboys have. You can keep that. How about we raise you the 3rd best passing defense in the league with just 180.3 yards to take care of Dak and the boys, and we escape with the W. Chicago Bears taking it. They only got Larry Bourne out, right tackle, cornerback Jalen Johnson's out. They're not going to need him. Zeke's doubtful. Dalton Schultz is questionable. Receiver Noah Brown's questionable. Micah Parsons, questionable. Dallas Cowboys in shambles. Bears by a touchdown. Moving on, next game, Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons. For Carolina, Chuba Hubbard is out. Frankie Love, linebacker, is questionable. Cornerback J.C. Horn is also questionable. The Carolina Panthers obviously are tanking. It's so fucking obviously that they're tanking. They're starting P.J. fucking Walker at quarterback. P.J. Walker. They traded away Christian McCaffrey for, I guess, a 2nd round in a 5th round or a 4th round. A bunch of stuff. But they're so obviously tanking, it's not even funny. However, the Atlanta Falcons, who's a team that could have came up, hung up the season, been 0-6 or 0-17, and no one would have cared. No one would have batted an eye because that's what they were supposed to be. However, they're 3-4. They got the number 4th best rushing team in the league with 156.9 yards per game. They got the 5th best rushing defense in the league with 100.3 yards per game. And if you couple that stat with the fact that in the last 3 games, they've only been giving up 65 rushing yards per game, that's going to blow your mind. This team can not only run the ball, but they can stop the run. Wonder how that works in practice. Probably good stuff there. Probably iron on iron. Atlanta's going to roll with this one. I mean, the spread's 4.5. I can see Atlanta blowing them out. They actually play. Marcus Mariota, he's kind of looking for some sort of revival, some sort of way to say, hey, I may not be the best, number 1 pick that I once was supposed to be, but I'm still here and I can still be a decent starter, but with, great backup potential, and that's just what he's got. So we're going to roll with the Falcons here. I don't think that's weird at all. Another some. But you guys just love Fridays. I got a dart tournament after this. I just started playing darts. Darts are pretty fun. You guys should get into that. It's a great way to watch football too. Something to do while you watch football. Anyway, back to the motherfucking shit. You guys want to hear that shit, that bullshit. Tennessee Titans. Houston Texans. What the fuck is this? We see it 2 times a year, and I tell you what, we never like it ever, but we gotta watch it. We have to fucking watch it. Tennessee Titans, what can I say? Well, they're going against the Houston Texans. That's pretty much the best stat I can come up with to why they're going to win the game. Not to mention they're the 4th best rushing defense in the league, and over the past 3 games, they're the number 1 rush defense in the league with just 48.7 yards given up per game. Ryan Tannehill is questionable. Will this be the game Malik Willis comes in and, gives his best Kaepernick impression? He wears number 7. Tannehill's 17, but, maybe he comes in and, puts the league on fire. I would love it. I'd absolutely love it if Malik Willis did that. Because Ryan Tannehill ain't winning a Super Bowl, so you got to see what you got, Malik. At least, chalk it up to injury. Be like, hey, Ryan, you're questionable. Hey, it's cool. Just sit out. It's a Texans week. We don't need you to play. We don't need you. We got Malik Willis. We'll see how he does. If he'll get the dub and we'll move on. But secretly, you're like, okay, let's see if Malik Willis can ball. Because if he puts up 250 plus yards in the air, a couple TDs, maybe some on the ground, he's starting next week, motherfucker. And that's that. That is that. That's what I would do. Anyway, for the Texans, what's new? Brandon Cooks questionable. Nico Collins questionable. Left guard Kenyon Green questionable. Right guard AJ Cann questionable. DN Rasheem Grant questionable. D tackle Malik Collins. They're all questionable. It's like, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here, Houston? Houston, we have a problem. We've had a problem since 2002 when we came in the league. Texans by 50. We're moving on to the next few games. It's winding down. Remember, if you're new, give me a like, a subscription, a comment. You can find me at TBloom Talk Show on Twitter, on Instagram at T_Bloom253, and of course at Peacock at TBloomENT. I'll put all that up. Don't worry about it. But make it happen, motherfucker, because the show must go on. We're on the road to 100 subscribers. Let's keep it going. Okay. San Francisco versus the Los Angeles Rams. First game for CMC to suit up for the San Francisco 49ers. How's it going to go? Is this going to be the biggest bust of the century in terms of trades? Or is this going to be, oh my God, why didn't my team give up that many picks for Christian McCaffrey? They won the fucking Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to be either of those. I think it's going to be in between. A little in between. I think it's going to be more towards the Niners kind of fucked up a little bit. Just a little bit of a fuck up there. Not too much right here, but a little bit of a fuck up right there. Some stats. Niners, 15th best rushing team, 15th best rushing team in the league. 120.7 a game. Last three, they've moved to 23 with just 101. On the downtrend, not willing to run the ball. On the other side of the ball, the Rams, the 9th best rushing team in the league total. Over the last three, they've moved to 16, giving up 114.7 yards per game. Now, the Niners are probably going to have to run the ball because the Rams have the number one pass defense in the league in the last three games, just giving up 141.7 yards per game. And the Niners, although in the last three games they're the number 4 best passing team in the league, they're going to be without Deebo Samuel and Kyle Juszczyk. And I know what you're saying, Juice? The fuck they need Juice for? Juice is a great part of that team. Maybe more important than... Maybe he's more important than George Kittle. I said it. Kyle Juszczyk might be more important than George Kittle. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Right there. Say it. Anyway, yeah. Los Angeles, they're middle of the pack on offense. They just can't do shit. Not at all what we've seen last year. They're no longer elite. Niners, they're the second best rushing team in the league in terms of defense, but over the last three games, they moved to number 15 with giving up 114 rushing yards per game. Overall, they're the 10th best passing defense in the league, but over the last three games, they're the 26th best. So not sure what to think about that. That's a downward trend. They do get a lot of sacks, though. The second team with the second most sacks per game. But they're going to be out with Eric Armstead and Dre Greenlaw. And Cam Akers is the only one out for LA. In LA, they really need this win. They just lost to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go LA. I think LA rolls in. They get the job done. They keep their playoff hopes alive. They don't completely let it fizzle out just now. I think it will eventually unravel. But division game, it's hard to get two wins against an opponent in the AFC West or NFC West. So I think the Los Angeles Rams bounce back against the 49ers, move to 4-3, put the Niners at 4-4, and that's what it seems like this NFC West race is gonna take a head towards. Just too many injuries for the 49ers. Next game, the Washington Commanders versus the Indianapolis Colts. What a fun matchup we have. What a dynamic we have here. This was supposed to be Carson Wentz's homecoming game. The team that got rid of him after one season, brought in some old shit stain named fucking Matt Ryan, and thought he was going to be the replacement for Carson Wentz. Not only is Carson Wentz not playing in this game for injury, but Matt Ryan's not playing in this game for injury. But rumor has it, I won't tell you my sources, but apparently the coach of the Indianapolis Colts, if Matt Ryan's shoulder injury wasn't even a thing, he still wouldn't start. They'd still bring in the Sam Ehlinger quarterback. Go ahead and hook him. I said hook him, Sam. They were still going to bring in the Sam Ehlinger backup. So, questions in Indy. I mean, even though they're the number 7 passing team in the league, averaging 260 yards per game, they're going to bring in Sam Ehlinger. I know Matt Ryan hasn't looked great, but man, you fucking put way too much into Matt to not let the season play out, because I don't think Sam's the guy. I do not think Sam's the guy. Washington Commanders, they're pretty middle of the pack on the run and pass in terms of the offense, but on the defensive side of the ball, in their last 3 games, they're the 3rd best passing defense in the league, just giving up 161.3 yards. On the running side of it, they only give up 0.7 rushing touchdowns per game. That's 0.7, less than 1. And when they're at home, they are the 3rd best rushing defense in the league, better than every other home team except for 2. In those home games that they played was 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who we just talked about, it's the number 9th best rushing team. Green Bay, not a bad rushing game. They got Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. Titans, they got Derrick Henry, not a bad one at all. And the Eagles, who are the number 4 best rushing team in the league. So, I mean, it's not like they're rushing against, or they're stopping, just garbage teams. They're stopping good teams, and quite frankly, Indianapolis Colts isn't even good at running anyway. They haven't been good at running since last year. So give me the Washington Commanders here. I mean, Matt Ryan's out. You got Kwity Paye, the DN, out for the Colts. Grant Stewart out for the Colts. John Dodson's out for the Commanders. Doesn't matter, though. Logan Thomas is questionable. William Jackson is out for the Commanders. Doesn't matter, though, because they got fucking Scott Tolzien. Ride high on Scotty. Scotty too hotty. Big win against the Packers. Let him ride. I think the Commanders get the job done. And the Indianapolis Colts, they're on a little bit of a... They're in shambles, man. I don't know what to do if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan. I'm so glad I'm a Steeler fan because I have 6 Super Bowls to hang my hat on. Some of you guys are just playing catch-up at this point. You guys are trying to get there. But it's nice to be able to relax. Next game, New York Giants, Seattle Seahawks. Or should I say the Seacocks? Ha! Fuck them. No, but seriously, New York Giants, Seattle Seahawks, tale of the same tape. New York can run the ball, can't stop the run. Seattle can run the ball and also can't stop the run. Check the stats. New York Giants, the 2nd best rushing team in the league. When they're away, they're the best rushing team in the league, almost putting up 200 yards per game when they are away against every away opponent. Also, to couple with that, they never turn the ball over. The 4th best ranked team in the league in terms of turnovers. They give up 0.3 a game. That's almost 0. So they're going to run the ball down your throat, and they're not going to give the ball away, which is a tough, no wonder why they've won so many games, but a lot of close games, though. A lot of games that maybe shouldn't have gone their way. Same with the Seahawks, but on the Seahawks, the defense, they're the 29th best rushing team in the league. Told you they can't run or stop the run. They are number 5 in terms of forcing turnovers in the league. They've forced over the last 3 games at least 2 per game. And when they're at home, they also force 2 per game. So maybe you can see at least 1 turnover coming out of the Giants. It's at home. It's in Seattle. Tough place to play. Let's look at Seattle in terms of their offense. The 10th best rushing team in the league, but over the last 3, they've moved to the 6th best rushing team in the league, getting 167 rushes per game. They're going against the 28th best rushing defense over the last 3 games. The Giants have given up 149 rushing yards per game. So, what does that tell me? That tells me that it's pretty much the same two teams going against each other. What is, let's say PTBG. Not sure what that means. I'm going to take the Seahawks, though. I think they're the hotter team. I think the New York Giants, there's no way they go 7-1. They're not a good enough team to be at 7-1, and that's not even hating. That's just realistic. If you look at the teams around them, I mean, the Chiefs have lost. No, Chiefs. Are they the same as the Chiefs? No. They're not a 6-1 team. They're going to fall and lose eventually. I see this as the perfect trap game for them to come to Seattle. Seattle's on a hot streak. They are questionable with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and right guard Gabe Johnson. But the Giants are also out a left guard with Ben Bredeson out and a right tackle, Evan O'Neal. So that's going to take a hit on their run game. On the other side of the ball, linebacker O'Shea Eximes is out for the Giants, and Leonard Floyd is questionable. So I got to roll with the Seahawks here. I don't want to, but the Seahawks are probably going to take this one. And, the Giants got to come down to earth a little bit. Next game, the Green Bay Packers versus the Buffalo Bills. And this is just welcome to the Buffalo Bills show. Let me just run through some stats after I take this. Green Bay Packers versus the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, number one passing offense in the league, 323 per game. Over their last three, they're the number two best passing team in the league, 317 yards per game. They average the fourth least sacks per game in terms of, how many sacks they give up, with just 1.5, and over the last three games, they are the least sacked team per game with 0.7. And on defense, they're the number one rushing defense in the league, just giving up 76.2 yards per game. Over the last three, the number fourth best rushing defense in the league with 94.7 yards given up. Oh, what's that? They also are the best at getting to the quarterback with 3.2 sacks per game. Over the past three, they moved to number 11. Oh no, with 2.7. I mean, come on, dude. That's unfair. They're obvious. Just so we're clear, the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the league. It's not close. The closest team is the Kansas City Chiefs. It's 1A, and I used to say 1B, but right now it's 1A and 2A. Kansas City and the Buffalo Bills. Not Philadelphia. Sorry, Charlie. They're not the best team in the league. They could be, sure. But right now, the stats back up. The Buffalo Bills are just playing out of their mind now. Now, I don't know how far this is going to go. I don't know how long this is going to last. We're not even halfway through the season yet. Excuse me. But right now, to be clear, Buffalo is the best team in the league. There is no conversation. Back to the stats. Green Bay on offense, for fuck's sake, in the last three games, they're the 31st best rushing team in the league. And then, they can't run the fucking ball. At least in the last three games of the season. Their offense is in shambles. I mean, I would love to try and picture a shootout somehow with Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, but when Alan Lazard's out, David Bakatari's questionable, Elgton Jenkins, left guard's questionable. I mean, it's not looking good for the Green Bay Packers. And this is good because it's a night game. So, hell, I hope we do see some Aaron Rodgers fireworks, and he comes out, fucking lays it down and beats the Buffalo Bills. But the Buffalo Bills are just too fucking good. So we're going to roll with Buffalo. And that brings us to our last game of, that's right, the last game of the week of Week 8. Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. AFC North, Showdown. Here's the stats. Cincinnati, fifth best passing team in the league, 278.7. Over the last three, third best passing team in the league, 307. They just received news that Jamar Chase will be out 4 to 6 weeks with some sort of injury. I think it's a hip injury, something. But that's going to take a hit to their passing defense. Cleveland, they're in the middle of the pack defense. They can't really do much. What Cleveland can do is run the fucking ball. The third best rushing team in the league with 163.6 yards per game. Cincinnati, they're the eighth or the 28th worst rushing defense in the league, giving up 163. And over the last three, they've given up 141, which ranks 26th. Cincinnati can play the pass, though. 8th best in the league. Over the last three, they're the 2nd best in the league. So Cleveland's going to have to take care of the ball. They're going to have to pretty much make Cincy run the ball. God, I was going to pick Cleveland, but that just doesn't make sense. I mean, how is Cleveland going to win this game? They're out David Njoku. Right guard Wyatt Teller's questionable. Myles Garrett's questionable. Jadeveon Clowney's questionable. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is questionable. Denzel Ward questionable. Greg Newsome's questionable. But Cincinnati's not without injury, too, as they have tight end Hayden Hurst questionable. Right tackle LaFell Collins questionable. D tackle Josh Topu questionable. Trey Hendrickson questionable. Eli Apple questionable. So many questions. We need an answer, TBloom. What's it going to be? Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to stick to my gut here. Something's telling me Cleveland. Something's telling me they're going to run the snot out of the ball, stop Cincinnati from passing. Maybe a pick six here, maybe a pick six there. I'm going to roll with Cleveland on Monday night. The Brownies, right? I'm going to roll with them. And, yeah, that's gonna do it for my picks. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the T-Bloom Talk Show. T-Bloomanites, my T-Bloomaholics. I absolutely love you. Sorry for a late podcast tonight. Like I said, I had to work early. Sue me. It's a Friday, though. The working man knows everything about another working man. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Instagram at T_Bloom253, on Twitter at TBloom Talk Show, and on Instagram, or on TikTok, of course, at TBloomENT. That's going to wrap it up. Week 8 predictions. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Enjoy yourself. Crack a beer. Crack a smile. TBloom out.